Hello, players who use D&D instead of therapy.
And DMs who have never once roleplayed as the opposite gender because that'd be a little too weird.
Yeah, we don't want to get weird during Dungeons
We don't
and
wanna get
Dragons.
I'm Robert, that's Madison.
Hi. This is Table Talk. Welcome back. We're so glad to have you, or if it's your first time listening, thank you.
This would be an
We
odd place to
appreciate it.
just come in at because this is a part 2 of
Yes.
character sheets and shit. So the last one was
Yes.
Magic Edition where Madison made a sorcerer, and we walked you guys through that. We probably won't do as much hand holding in this one and the same like walking through step by step and being quite as meticulous about breakdowns. I highly recommend you therefore go watch the first one. So it's kind of like I want you to listen to this one, but also I'm going to take the opportunity to tell you to watch the first one because you don't do that. Wrong order.
This one will probably be like significantly shorter than the other.
Yeah. Well, the other one's an hour and 15, so this one's probably going to be closer to like an hour, so maybe just 15 minutes shorter. But today I'm going to walk through a martial class. So generally speaking, there are two different categories of classes in. I almost said Magic the Gathering, wrong fucking game.
Try again.
Made by the same company, or at least bought by the same company.
Both things that you have sunk
Yep.
a significant portion
Hasbro,
of
which
your life
owns
into.
Wizards, which owns both Magic and Dungeons and Dragons. So
Yep.
I just, I sink a lot of money into both. But anyways, I digress. Dungeons and Dragons. There are generally two kinds of classes. There are your spellcasters and there are your non-spellcasters. There are a few anomalies in the mix, most notably the
Paladins.
Paladin. There are also a few of the
Like fighter classes that are like magic based.
yeah, there are also some paths you can take as sorcerers or as different kinds of traditional spellcasters where you rely more heavily on like a melee weapon or a packed blade, like with Warlock.
Or like a bard. Jesus Christ. I would
Yeah,
just
like a
combine the
bard's
word
kind of a-
bard and sword to board. So if you're playing a board,
Yeah, but every class, generally speaking, is technically a spellcasting class. There isn't a single class that cannot cast spells.
except for maybe a barbarian when they're in rage.
Yeah, but generally every class has the capability of casting different kinds of spells. When I say spellcasting class, what I'm referring to are the ones that rely on casting spells the most. Like in terms of combat, in terms of utility. That pretty much covers it all, right?
Yeah.
So Barbarian is going to be your straight up, I want to hit things and I want to be big and have a lot of health. And I want to hit things again.
And again.
And again and again and again and again, and then I want to do even more damage when I get a crit hit, which is a critical success, critical hit. So, I haven't quite decided what I'm going to do yet. There are many, many options. Like I said, if you've listened to the first one, which I hope you have, in the episodes previous to this, where we go over most of the traditional races that are present in 5e, there are many, 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 many to choose from.
Yes.
But fitting my intro, I am actually going to do a bit of a gender bender on this character, which would be my first D&D character I've ever put on paper of the opposite gender, just because
Only femme characters.
role-playing is difficult as a gender that's not yours if you're not professionally trained on how to role-play as the opposite gender, which I'm not. I just have seen other people do
so
it,
many boys. I exclusively have played little ambiguously gendered children on stage. I've played boys so many times.
That's so funny. Like, that sucks, but also that's so
It is exclusively my typecast has been gender ambiguous poor orphan. I've played
gender ambiguous poor orphan. Jesus.
or
Christ.
crazy person in a hat. I have multiple roles that fall under that category.
Crazy person in a hat.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think I know. I've been recently playing a video game on my PA Station 5, not to flex or anything, but
Jesus Christ.
I've been recently playing back through a couple of my favorite games, and so I think today I actually just want to do a character build of somebody that I really like as a character, which if you know anything about the game, that might be a controversial statement, but I'm going to try and build Abby from The Last of Us 2 as a non-human, because that would be too fucking easy. So I think I'm going to go with Goliath for the race, which is not technically part of the 5th edition, like the one that
Player's
Wizards puts
Handbook.
out. They do have it on, D&D Beyond does have it on their page, but it's not part of like the Player's Handbook. So I am stepping out a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and put that on paper. Race is going to be Goliath. if you've never played the game or you don't know anything about the character, she's a fucking mountain. She's literally huge. So the opposite character that mirrors her in the game is Ellie, which if you've seen the HBO Max show or if you've just played the first game,
It's my girly.
she's short, she's small, she's quick, she's fast. She uses a knife, that kind of thing. Abby is
She
meant
would
to
be a
be
rogue.
her. Yeah, she'd be a rogue. Abby is meant to be the opposite in that she's big, she's brutish. She is still very smart, but she's like ripped as fuck. Like part of your introduction to her when you get to like switch character perspectives is just how ripped she is. So yeah, I'm gonna try and make a very big, strong character, and I'm gonna go with Goliath for the race because human is just kind of fucking boring. So
Get
Goliath,
creative. If you like, no hate to
Yeah.
people who play humans, but also there's I feel like hundreds. There's not actually hundreds, but there's a fuck ton of races to choose from in D&D. And if you're playing like an escapist fantasy game, I think it's fun to lean into that. I say
Mm-hmm.
is our current campaign. We are all playing humans, but there's an android in our group, but we're
there's an
playing in like a modern.
and race isn't quite as
setting.
relevant in this one as it is in other ones. Like
Yeah.
it's kind of one of those when you get into different settings that aren't 5e related or aren't traditional fantasy. Like everyone's kind of a human, but like adjacent.
Yeah.
So it's like
Like
I'm
in
a
Star
human,
Wars,
but
there's a lot of
with an-
humans that are like from different planets.
it's
so
like
they're
the-
like Carillion or like something like that, where
and
it's like,
The
you're a
races
human.
are like in this one are like inherited, which isn't really a race. Like
Yeah.
race in the heroic setting we're in is more like how do you get your powers. It's not necessarily like what kind of a being are you. Which I mean, there's the option to play an alien in that one, but I've tried to leave aliens alone for most of the part. So
Because that's a whole nother.
we have
we're already
humans, we
dealing
have
with
human
too much.
adjacent, but we do also have straight up android, which you know why not. Anyways,
It's just a Warforged.
Goliaths are very large. They are between 7 and 8 feet tall. They weigh between 280 and 340 pounds. Your size
God
is still
damn.
medium. They're like just under the cut for large. Base walking speed is going to be 30, so I'm going to go ahead and jot that down. And then I have proficiency in athletics, which totally makes sense for Abby. She is athletic as all fuck. So I'm
She
gonna
just
go
be
ahead
doing
and-
shit in that game.
Oh, she does, man. Like Ellie's melee combat, she uses either her switchblade or like a picked up weapon. Abby, on the other hand, is like just hands.
Yeah.
Like
it
if you've
just
seen any of the stuff on TikTok talking about animes or like she's just left, right, good night. Like that's Abby.
I mean, she doesn't need a weapon.
No, she
She's-
fucking doesn't. Like, and you can upgrade her character so that you can throw hands better. Like, it's just she's trained in like close quarters combat, so that's just she's kind of more military style. Her lifespan, or Goliaths have lifespans comparable to humans. They enter adulthood into their late teens and usually live less than a century. So they're kind of equivalent to humans in that sense.
Yeah.
They hit adulthood, it looks like a little earlier. Maybe, but it's not important right now. I haven't gotten to the age part of things. So, we've gotten all of that out of the way. Let's see here. What else? Under the Goliath. So there's also a couple of traits here. It allows you to, let's see here. When you take damage, you can use your reaction to roll a d12. Add your con modifier to the number rolled and reduce the damage by that total. That's nice.
Ooh.
Powerful build.
Wait, is that like every long rest, or is that just?
Yeah, once per long rest.
Okay, I was gonna say that cannot be just every
You
time.
count as one size larger when determining your carrying capacity and the weight you can push, drag, or lift. You have resistance to cold damage with Mountain Born. You are also acclimated to high altitude, including elevations above 20,000 feet. You can
mean-
speak, read, and write Common and Giant.
I mean, the temperature thing actually does fit the setting
So I'm gonna
because they
put
spend half of that
Common,
in the fucking snow.
Giant. Putting things down on my paper because that's what I would normally be doing. Larger size. So that doesn't mean that it is actually a larger size. It just means when carrying, pushing, that kind of stuff. Which, when we get to combat and like action economy, I'll talk a little bit more about what size means there because generally speaking, when you're just role playing or just doing things about the world, your size
doesn't
doesn't
matter.
necessarily matter. It's more of like a role play
Size doesn't
thing.
matter, guys. It's all about how you use it in the game.
Oh, 100%. 100%. But like in combat, size
I was just trying to be funny.
Yeah, I mean, true. But she does that sometimes. Size
Wow.
determines like how many squares you take up on a grid. It determines if you can move past people, that kind of thing. So,
Yeah.
anyways,
So, like, if you're a small little character, you can dodge through spaces that medium-sized characters can't.
yeah, you can walk between things without disadvantage, that kind of fun stuff.
And some large characters will have disadvantage on certain spells and like things like that.
So the next thing I'm going to choose is, I guess I'm going to pick my class.
Yeah.
I guess that makes sense. I usually don't do things in this order, but I normally start with a class and then go from there. Let's see here. I think I'm gonna do fighter. I think fighter makes sense. I think barbarian is a little too straight up hands and martial. I think if I'm trying to play her as true to real life, she's like an expert in using multiple long range weapons.
She's also like very like thought out, so I don't think rage would like.
I agree. Yeah, I mean, she has a perk that you can get in the game that gives her a rage-like ability, where like if you do a melee combat like takedown, you can then immediately follow it up with another one if somebody's close enough. But I'm not gonna push that route. I'm gonna go more the like expertise with guns and like ranged weapons. So I'm probably gonna end up picking gunslinger for the subclass once I get to my level 3.
I would have gone battle master.
So class, we're gonna go with fighter. Yeah, but like she uses guns.
No, that's
You know
real.
what I'm saying? Like, and it's the
That's
only
real.
class I get access to guns with.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, it's also, the other one, I just straight up picked stuff out of the player's handbook, and this one, you're getting stuff outside of the player's
yeah,
handbook.
this one's, very much outside.
See,
all right,
we planned it. This is
yeah.
intentional.
Totally. So now we're going to do ability scores, and then hit points and all that fun stuff. But we're going to start with ability scores. Bum, 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 bum. We didn't bring physical dice, so I'm going to have to roll some d6s digitally. Sorry, guys. Roll 4
Or
d6.
do we want to do point by?
Oh, I guess I can't do point by.
So we can show you multiple methods.
Yeah, so we can show you multiple methods.
You don't have to.
No, it's okay. It's okay. I've never had to do point by physically. So I'm gonna walk
We're
through
pull
it.
up an app.
Yep, I'm gonna walk through it on my app, and then I'm gonna walk you guys through basically what I'm seeing. So bear with me. Okay, it looks like on the app I also need to go ahead and pick my background, so I guess I'll go ahead and get that out of the way. Let's see here. What are our options? I'm
got 'em
gonna
pulled up
pick soldier because that
Okay,
makes
that
the most
works.
sense. That's kind of like the primary role she fills in the game, so we're gonna do soldier. So point by. Let me see here.
Do we want to go ahead and do the rest of background stuff?
No, we'll jump around.
Okay.
We've been non-traditional so far. I'm not gonna.
Keep it with it.
Yep.
ADHD.
Yep, I'm not gonna push us to be super straight on this one. So yeah, we'll get to personality traits, ideals, bonds, flaws in a minute. So it looks like point by the way it works is that every score starts at 8. That's like the base score. And then you have a total of 27 points that you can put wherever you want to put them. So what that means is if you were to do point by physically, you would write out your 6 scores. So strength, dex, constitution, intelligence, wisdom, charisma. And then you would put like a little 8 by them. And then you would have essentially 27 points to dump wherever you would like to. So let's see how far I can pump a stat really quick before I do the rest of this. So it looks like the highest that I can put a stat with point by is 15.
It's not that high.
No, but the lowest I can go is 8.
Okay.
So that's the trade-off.
True.
So if you guys listen to the last
more
episode,
well-rounded.
again, go do that. You roll d6, and you can, in theory, have as low as a fucking 3. You could also have as high as an 18, because 6 times 3. But it looks like with point by, what they're trying to do is like kind of median it out a little bit more, so that way things are a little more like, I don't know, consistent. And
like
it's and it's a
well-rounded.
little more safe. Yeah, it's more of a safety net thing. So with fighter, I need to pull up the fighter class real quick, actually, which I didn't think to do
Do you want me to pull it up?
in advance. Nah, it's all right. Fighter class, 5th edition, D&D Wiki.
Shout out Wikidot again.
Yeah, sorry, shout out Wikidot.
Wikidot, sponsor us.
So what are their primary things? So saving throws are going to be strength and constitution. I guess they don't have a primary thing, do they?
I mean, if you're a fighter, you don't have like a primary like spell casting class.
So it's
I
just going to
would,
be strength.
yeah, I was gonna say dump everything into like strength and con because those are your two
Yeah.
saving throws. And if you're gonna be hitting people physically, strength is gonna help you.
So, generally speaking, with spell casting classes, you're going to have a primary spell casting ability, and that's going to be like the score that you pump as high as you can because it's going to increase your spellcasting DCs, it's going to increase the damage you can do, so on and so forth. When you have a martial class, like a purely martial class, not a paladin, like a fighter, like a ranger, like a, which I think ranger might be dexterity based, ranger, dexterity, fighter, so on and so forth, you're going to basically choose between one or two stats, strength and dexterity. And I'm pretty sure for fighter and for barbarian. I know for a fact barbarian, strength is going to determine what your plus to hit is with all your weapons.
Yeah.
And I think fighter, it's whichever's highest, but Abby is a stronger-ish character. That's like one of her defining features, so I'm not going to pump dexterity. I'm going to go ahead and put, let's see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 points into strength, which is going to go ahead and bump me up to 15.
Hell yeah.
Keeping in mind that I have a +2 from being a Goliath, that means that I'm going to have a 17 in strength to start.
Okay, that's not bad.
No, not at all. So your high things are going to come from your pluses, so
Yes.
that's going to be nice. It looks like the next thing, what was it, Constitution, are also the saving throws for fighters.
Yep.
That's what you're going to be proficient in. Those are the saving throws you're going to make the most, so you're going to want to put a lot of things into those. I'll go ahead and throw... I'll throw 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points into Constitution, so that'll bump me up to 14, because I have a +1 from being a Goliath.
Hell yeah.
And then all I have left is Dex, Intelligence, Wisdom, Charisma. She is so not charismatic, so I'm not going to put a single point in Charisma, which I think will give me a -1, if not a -2. And then, oh God, what would be Abby's third biggest stat? Strength 100%, followed by Constitution.
Do you have athletics? Oh, you already have athletics.
It's between dexterity and intelligence for me. I think I'm going to try and make them relatively equal, because she is fairly smart, all things considered. So I think I'm going to put...
I can't remember if guns are, because are guns a finesse weapon?
I think guns might be a finesse weapon.
Because if they're a finesse
folks.
weapon, then that's dex, correct?
Are guns finesse weapons? So this is... Sorry, we're taking you all into such uncharted territory with this.
I mean, this is the real character creation.
No, they are
experience.
excellent options for characters with high dex scores. Fuck. All right, so it looks like I'm going to have to actually put quite a few points into dexterity. Which, whatever.
'Cause that's going to give you your bonus to hit.
She's a very fit character. I guess that's okay. So actually...
I mean this in the kindest way. She's built like a brick shithouse. I think that's a phrase. If that's not a phrase.
I think just like brick house.
Oh, I've always heard that one specifically.
Brick shit house.
I'm not crazy. I've heard that term from people before. I need someone to validate that. Someone, please. Someone who is listening, please. I am begging you to validate that, because most people who listen know me personally. Validate that for me.
Knowing that strength is not actually going to be my primary hitting ability, I'm actually going to backtrack on my strength. So I'm going to only put that up to 13, which with my +2 still make it a 15. And then I'm going to make my dexterity 15 as well. So I'll have 2 15s. We'll call it there.
Oh, that's good.
Whatever. I don't really want to do that, but we're going to do that anyways. I kind of want to get out of the fucking negatives, if I'm being honest, with wisdom. So I think I'm just going to go ahead and put 2 points in wisdom and bring me up to 10. Just because wisdom saving throws happen way more often than you think they would.
Oh, yeah.
There are a ridiculous amount of spells that are mostly wisdom saving throws.
And they're always the ones that, like, if you fail them, you are fucked.
Yeah, like a lot of mind control spells require wisdom or
that.
charisma.
Fuck that so much.
Yeah, pretty
Fuck
much
any of those spells so much.
Any spell that takes away your ability to play your character properly is going to be either wisdom or charisma. And I'm okay with her having 0 charisma because, again, if you've played the game, she doesn't have any. But I do want to level her out on wisdom. Even from just a role-playing choice, she kind of levels out as time goes on. So then that leaves me with 2 points remaining, which I know this has been incredibly hard to follow with point buy, but this is why I don't do point buy, because it's just fucking hard to follow.
It's easy on an app, but there's also there's other options. There's like standard array option where it already has the like points for you, and it already gives you scores, and they also all add up to 27, and you just choose what goes where.
That's the simple option, which I didn't click on, but whatever.
I mean, listen, we rolled and then did like actual math equations on the last one.
Constitution's going to be at a 14, strength is going to be at 15, dexterity. You know what? I'll put 1 more point into strength. Fuck it, we'll bump it back up to 16. Because then it's just fun to look at. 16, 15, 14.
There you go. So they're not all the same.
And then I'm out of points. So my strength is going to be at 16, dexterity is 15, constitution 13, intelligence 10, or 12, and then wisdom is 11, charisma is 8. God, I was so close to having that being a really satisfying sequence.
I mean, you can change it and just go not point by and make the scores.
No, it's okay. 16, 15, 14.
Did you write it on the saving throw portion again?
Yeah, I did that again.
In pen?
God damn it, I did it again. It's okay, I'll write everything next to it.
I'm so sorry, man.
No, it's okay, I did it to myself. Strength is a 16.
We even said
dexterity
last
is a
episode on the
15.
air, we were like, yeah, guys, remember to write in pencil.
And
I
guess-
say, as I'm
guess
also
which-
sitting here right now, color coding my previous character
Guess
sheet.
what your boy didn't do. So that
They're
means I'm going to
erasing.
have a +3 to strength because, again, 16 minus 10 is 6. 6 divided by 2 is 3. Dexterity, I think, is going to be a 2. Right. Yes. Right.
I'm the
yes.
wrong person. I
Nope,
cannot
+2.
validate any math.
Constitution's going to be +2. Intelligence is going to be +1. Wisdom +0. And Charisma is going to be, I think, fucking -1. It might even be -2 with an 8.
God damn.
Yeah.
-2?
With an 8, I think it might be. I don't know how the fuck minuses work, dude.
You subtract them from any ability checks that you do for that.
No, I mean, like, I don't know how to determine.
Oh, it's the same formula. It just goes negative.
So 8 minus 10
-2.
divided by 2. 1. No, 2. Fuck.
Yeah.
Oh,
-2.
Jesus. It's -2 on charisma saving throws. Or on modifiers, period. Which also means a -2 on charisma saving throws.
Homegirl would get banished so fast.
Oh, yeah.
That's one of my favorite
+0
spells that
for
has a
wisdom.
charisma saving
It's
throw.
going to be a +1 for intelligence saves. I'm proficient in constitution and strength. This means we're going to add proficiency when determining those saves. So her constitution saving throw is going to be a +4. Her dex is going to be a +2. And her strength is going to be a +5. So not bad. She's pretty well rounded in the things that we want her to be. But this also could lead to a pretty fun role-playing moment where you just have to accept that she cannot be charismatic to save her life. Yeah, I refuse to
Just
do
don't make her the face of the party and it'll be fine.
the simple option. Okay, so now I get to pick 2 skills. Athletics and intimidation, I guess, already come with whatever the fuck else I've picked. Oh, right, with Goliath.
Background.
Oh, yeah, and background, soldier. Sorry, this app does things weird. So I have proficiency with athletics, and I have proficiency with intimidation, which makes total sense. She'd scare the
Both are
shit
true.
out of me. So now I get to pick 2 more options. From acrobatics, animal handling, history, insight, perception, survival. I'm going to do
Survival.
perception and survival 100%. I don't think anything else makes sense for her. She's always fighting for her life in the game, so being perceptive and knowing how to survive are definitely 2 massive things.
Yeah.
So now I get to pick my fighting style. So this is where fighter differs from all the other martial classes. You pick a fighting style. I mean, the other ones also sometimes include picking a fighting style, but fighter, that's kind of like its defining feature. So there are many. I'm going to list a few. Archery, blind fighting, defense, dueling, great weapon fighting, interception, protection, superior technique, thrown weapon fighting, 2-weapon fighting, and unarmed fighting. So I'm going to pick... holy shit. Is there not a gun option on here?
No, gun is all homebrew. Or like it's unofficial. Okay, so it's like half official. I don't think it's like official.
We're just going to do archery, because it's a +2 with ranged weapons.
There you go.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
gun's a ranged weapon. So
Yeah, I don't know why, but for some reason I was thinking in this app, looks like I'm just fucking stupid, but whatever, we're going to go with archery, because +2 to range. She uses guns, so. Alright, hit point time. So, as
now's
a
when you
fighter,
get to like look up rolls.
we have a D10, which is nice.
A
If you
lot
remember
better
the sorcerer,
than
it's
some
Not a
magic.
D6.
Yeah.
So hit points at the first level, she's going to have 10 plus your constitution modifier, which my con mod is +2, so I'm going to have 12 to start. And then we're going to level her up to 3 like we did with the last one. So we're going to go ahead and roll a d10 on the computer. Roll d10. Go. I got a 10. Holy fuck.
Oh, bullshit.
Wow, that's crazy.
Ooh,
So-
reroll.
Jesus Christ. God, fuck. That takes her up to 24 at level
What
2.
the fuck?
Yeah, no, that takes her up to 24.
Oh yeah, because at first level you automatically
First level,
get 10.
she's at 12. Yeah, and then the way that it works is you roll 1 dice per level when you're going up. And I'm only level 1, so leveling up to 2, I roll a d10. I got a 10, plus my con mod. I'm up to fucking 24 health as level 2. That's crazy.
Just for comparison, my homegirl that I made in the last episode at level 3 had 19 hit points.
Yeah. So now I have to pick my equipment. I get to choose between either chainmail or leather armor and a longbow. So I'm going to take leather armor and a longbow since I want her to be a ranged weapon user.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to go and write that down.
Oh, I hated that you could hear me sniffle.
Oh,
I
and longbows and
apologize.
other ranged weapons, by the way, for those of you that choose to pick those. Depending on your DM, you will have ammo, which means you have to, keep in
track.
mind your shots and how many times you're firing, which can get difficult sometimes. So I can only choose from martial weapons, so that means I get to give her any of the fun list of martial weapons, which you can just Google that if you literally just look up martial weapons.
Martial weapons and then
doesn't-
like D&D.
Yeah, D&D.
Specifically.
Yeah, you can't just Google martial weapons. You might get a visit from like the FBI or something.
You looked up weapons. You're going to jail now.
She doesn't use any weapons though, so this is going to be a difficult decision.
Well, I mean, are you making it based off of her?
Yeah. I mean, there's a pretty crucial moment where she uses a hammer to like kill a shit ton of infected. So maybe I'll just do like a war hammer. I'm trying to think of
Yeah.
like what somebody
That'd
who's
be
trained
fun.
in CQC would use. And the only thing on this fucking insane list is going to be a warhammer. So we're just going to do a warhammer. Fuck it. She's got a hammer.
Martial weapons go crazy in that game.
Yep.
My
I say,
favorite
or I
weapon
could
from The
pick a
Last
shield,
of
but
Us
I'm not
is
doing
when it was like an axe or like a pickaxe or something, and then they like taped a knife to the other end of it. Do you know
it
what
was
I'm
a
talking
pipe,
about?
and they taped a knife.
Yeah,
to the end.
that's-
yeah. You
that's-
can upgrade weapons so that
I've
they
asked to
hit
have
more
that in
people.
game, and I was told no because I think that weapon is hilarious.
I get another martial weapon because I'm a fighter.
You got this. You can make decisions.
I have to make decisions. Jesus Christ.
ADHD and like choice paralysis is
We're gonna do them all
so
'cause it's
real.
basically the same thing, and it's heavy two weapon handed. And now I get to choose between a light crossbow and hand axes. Again, I'm going with light crossbow. I want her to be very like ranged weapon users, and I also took the archery fighting style, which means I'm gonna have a +2 to my ranged weapon attacks. Keep that in mind. That's super important. I get to pick between a Dungeoneers pack and an Explorers pack. I'm gonna do Explorer. She's not dungeon crawly. She's all about just staying alive. Now I get to name her. I'm gonna name her. I'm gonna keep it super simple. We're gonna do Abby.
You're not even like do like a like change it up a little.
Well, the first thing that came to mind was like Aboleth, but that's just a fucking creature.
Maybe like rearrange the letters. You like doing that?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I could. Yiba, YBA.
I mean,
Yeah, we'll do that.
yeah,
Yiba. why
that
not?
works.
Yiba. I'm gonna name her as Yiba.
Eba.
Yeah, or Iba, however you want to say it. YBBA.
I would say Eba.
I'll go YBBA. We'll throw two B's. We'll just literally spell it backwards.
There we go.
And just like that,
And guess what? If you show up
character.
to a table with this character named Eba and you like don't tell anyone, hey, this is just Abby from The Last of Us, people will never know.
no,
That is how much you can like we talked about this in our like building and like flavor episode of like you can just make your character from your favorite game.
so it looks like an
People
8 gives
won't
me a
know.
-1, not a -2.
Okay.
I don't know how the fuck that's determined, but whatever. Maybe we just did math wrong.
I probably definitely did math wrong.
So, anyways, I have all that figured out. I can also see what my initiative is, which it looks like it's a +2. My armor class is going to be 13 because of leather armor. That gives you, I think, a +2.
I think it's 11
plus
plus
3.
Dex.
11 plus dex. Let me check that out real quick.
believe.
It'll tell me. It'll tell me. Armor proficiencies, equipment. Yeah, leather armor. Leather armor is gonna give me. Yeah, it's 11 plus dex. You're right. So 13.
Look at me.
Wow, she's really doing it. Really hitting it today, man. So now we're gonna go ahead and level the fuck up. I'm gonna hit max on this on the app because I didn't roll it on the app. Now I'm gonna roll again. Roll another d10. Fucking 3. Are you kidding me? So if I'm following by my own rules, I can either take average, which would be 5, or I can roll again. I'm
Roll
rolling
again.
again. Watch me get a 1.
A
Get a
3!
Fucking 3 again. God damn it. So +5. Son of a bitch. That hurts my soul.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's
yeah,
rough. I'm not going to pretend
yeah.
that's not.
No, that sucks. That 100% sucks. So
Yeah.
now I get to choose my fighter archetype, which this is where you would pick Gunslinger if you had an app that allowed you to do that. But I do not.
There's definitely a way in there that you can. I'm confident in
I
that.
think you can add a way into it, but I don't think you can just, like, choose one. So the options that are going to make the most sense for her are going to be Champion, which means it says perfect your skill in combat, or Battle Master, learn specialized combat maneuvers. CQC, like close quarters combat, is very like combat maneuver, so we're going to pick Battlemaster. So now I get, as my subclass Battlemaster, or as my archetype Battlemaster, I get to pick 3 maneuvers to learn, which is actually pretty cool.
Yeah.
There's
I love
a
all of the fighting
absurdly
class ones.
long fucking list.
It's ridiculous.
So I'm just going to look at the ones that make the most sense. Let me see here. Say something while I read this list.
That's so much pressure to put on me.
Figure it out.
Jesus Christ. Give me a prompt,
Come
man.
on, dude. Come on.
Okay. I've never played a martial character before. Quite honestly, I'm scared to.
No, that works. That works. Keep going.
Well, don't encourage me because now that's weird. Like, just mind your business and do your thing.
I'm doing my thing.
But I one of the like things I have written down, or if I've not already used as like an episode greeting, is like players who have only played like one class and are too scared to look at the others, and that's me with magic users. I refuse to play martial characters.
All right, I'm ready.
Oh, well, now I'm on a roll and
Sorry.
you're just interrupting.
So, there are a ridiculous amount of maneuvers to pick from. They're basically just things that you can add superiority dice to, which is also something related to
It's kind of like
fighting.
sorcery points.
Yeah, so we talked about sorcery points last time, where you get to like spend them to do random things.
Did we talk about sorcery points?
We probably skipped right the fuck over it.
Whoopsie.
Anyways, there are different classes that come with different points. I mean, we would have talked about it on our class background, so
Yeah.
our class episode. Go watch
Yeah.
that. So for fighters, you get what are called superiority die, and you can basically add them to, based on the maneuvers you pick. It looks like for the specific subclass, I can add those superiority dice to certain actions. So I picked grappling strike because she's a fucking grappler.
Fits.
So that means that I can use grappling. You can grapple using a bonus action. Oh, that's so sick. When you hit with an attack, gaining superiority die to the check. So that means if I hit somebody, like I succeed, I go above their AC, their armor class. I can then choose to go straight into the grapple action as a bonus action, which is incredibly powerful. And then I can add my superiority die to that. I also picked Precise Strike because, goddamn, she throws hands. It allows me to use superiority dice to an attack roll, so that's just a very straight-up nice thing to have.
Yeah.
And it's not specific to melee attack rolls, which is even better, because that means that from a distance, I can add that superiority die to firing with a weapon or with a bow.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
That's really nice.
And then tactical assessment, you gain superiority die to history, investigation, or insight, which I would probably change that if I had more time to look at the other ones, but for time's sake, I'm going to pick that. I was just thinking she's a soldier, she's very intelligent.
So, yeah, I picked
What makes
all
the
of my
most
stuff
sense?
for last episode ahead of time
yeah,
for that
tactical
reason.
assessment, so we're just going to pick that. And then I'm going to... Right, I already rolled for health again. Fucking 3. So 5. So I have 31 health at level 3, which isn't the worst. So I'm going to put that on my hit point maximum. Awesome. We pretty much have a character now. I mean, I would need to go through and do my scores for my skills and stuff like that to figure those out. So with Intimidation, it's a charisma-based. I have a -1 to charisma, which means I'm going to have a 1 to Intimidation because my proficiency bonus.
As a fucking Goliath fighter, having a negative to your
Ouch.
intimidation is so funny.
I'm going to have a 0 on Insight. I'm going to have his Intelligence, History 1, Deception, -1. Athletics is going to be... Oh, Athletics is going to be so nice. Athletics is going to be 5. Arcana 1. I'm not going to read the rest of them off. They're not important. Anyways, that would just be me going through everything and then putting down the numbers. So yeah, we have a character at this point. There's not a whole lot else to like walk through except for ideals, bonds, flaws. Like this is how fast creating a character goes once you have the process down. It's just a matter of looking up everything to like make sure you're putting in the right information. And if you have an app, that makes it incredibly easy to do.
Yes.
So I guess for funsies, and because you did it, I'm going to go to, let's see here, the soldier background. And then start rolling for ideals, bonds, and flaws. But I think I'm going to pick the ones that make the most sense for her instead of rolling.
Okay.
Because I already have an idea for a character.
Yeah. And I'll be honest, I go through and pick mine a lot of the time because I also go in with an idea of who I want. I'm build concept and like personality first, and then I go into the mechanics.
Yeah. So it looks like I get to pick a specialty. So during your time as a soldier, you had a specific role to play. The options are Officer, Scout, Infantry, Cavalry, Healer, Quartermaster, Standard Bearer, or Support Staff. She's definitely infantry,
Yeah.
I would say, or scout. We're going to go with infantry just because she's a frontlines kind of bitch. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That gives us that. Feature military rank. So if I were to pick the soldier background, I would be able to basically pull rank to be recognized within my military organization. Or if I'm in like a town, the way that I would like let my characters use that is like if they're an occupying force, maybe like a little bit of respect. Also, if they're like the military that's
Like
like
a-
native to that area, I would give them advantage on certain checks.
Yeah.
And if they're like an occupying military, maybe it's like advantage on intimidation, that kind of thing. Cool. So now we're going to go to character traits. So personality traits. We have a fun list. So it basically talks about how the horrors of war combined with the rigid discipline have left the marks on you. So like choose a thing. So the personality traits we have are always polite and respectful, haunted by memories of war. Definitely that. So I'm probably going to put multiple on here for her. So I'm going to say 2, haunted by the memories of war. I can't get rid of the images of violence. She literally, in part of the game, relives her father dying. I'm not going to spoil it in case anybody's played the games, but her father, shocker, does die. You'll find
I mean,
out.
that happens in the.
Yeah, you'll find out how very quickly that happens, so it's not a huge spoiler. But her dad does die, and she does relive that moment, and then a very traumatic moment that happens later in the game because of that, over and over and over again. Like, it's a driving motivation for her. So I'm going to pick that.
I would go with 8 for the next one. I face problems head on.
Yeah, I face problems head on, and
Or
then
5.
yeah,
I could
yeah.
stare down a hell without flinching. Oh, a hellhound. Sorry, that's a little bit different.
Yeah, it's just a little. I like being strong and enjoy breaking things. No,
It's just Hulk.
yeah, I'm gonna say I face problems head on. Simple, direct solutions, the best path to success. Because she picks revenge. If I were picking post Last of Us 2, I would say I've lost too many friends and I'm slow to make new ones. But that doesn't really happen until the very end of the game. So
I thought you weren't giving spoilers.
I mean, if you've seen, listen, I didn't say how many. I just said a lot of her friends die. Anyways, you'll figure that out in the first half of the game.
You'll find it out in the
I
first
face
10
problems.
minutes.
Yeah, I face problems head on, so we're gonna give her that. So we're gonna say this is like pre-trauma Abby, or pre-Ellie Abby, I should say, which is basically the same thing.
Yeah.
Ellie fucks her life up. We're gonna move to ideals now. Great or good? Our lot is to lay down. Nope. So this is kind of where I need to decide her alignment. She's kind of neutral. Like, it depends on what perspective you have. Because when you're playing as Ellie, she's 100% evil. But when you're playing as Abby herself, you kind of get this, like, chaotic good nature to her. So that's kind of difficult to pick, if I'm being honest. Let's see here. Nation, my city, nation, or people are all that matter.
I
Live
think
and let
that
live.
one.
Ideals aren't worth dying for or going to war over. Might in life is war. Stronger force wins. Independence, when people follow orders blindly, they embrace a kind of tyranny. Responsibility, I do what I must and obey just authority. I'm going to go with chaotic good. So I'm going to do greater good. Our lot is to lay down our lives in the defense of others. And independence, when people follow orders blindly, they embrace a kind of tyranny. Because she does kind of have like a pretty big character arc. And is you see very quickly, like early on when you switch to her perspective, that like she is a good person at heart. And that drives a
Just
lot of the internal
shit
conflict.
Circumstances.
Yeah, like the fact that she makes such a fucked up decision for revenge in the beginning of the game is like what drives her character to become a good person over time. So we're going to say chaotic good
Yeah.
for our alignment. And I guess our ideals too.
Yeah.
Chaotic good. Because she definitely murders a lot of motherfuckers. So I'm not going to
Very.
put lawful.
Very much so.
Bond. I would still lay down my life for the people I served with. I mean, definitely true.
Yeah.
Someone saved my life on the battlefield to this. Oh, that's 100% true.
Yeah.
My honor is my life. No, I never forget the crushing defeat. No, those who fight beside me are worth dying for. Fight for those who cannot. I'm gonna go with 6 and 2. Someone saved my life on the battlefield. To this day, I will never leave a friend behind. And 6, I fight for those who cannot fight for themselves. Her whole character arc is kicked off by her saving basically a couple of kids.
Yeah.
That are in like a perilous situation, and then they kind of save her, and that's how it kicks off their like bond and her character arc. So I'd say she definitely has it within her to do that. Cool. That gives me her bonds. Now the flaws. The monstrous enemy we faced in battle still leaves me quivering with fear. Kind of. I have little respect for anyone who is not a proven warrior. No. Made a terrible mistake in battle. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
we're doing
one,
that one.
made a terrible
And I would do
mistake
anything to
and-
keep that mistake
Yeah.
secret. Hatred of enemies, blind and unreasoning. I obey the law. I'd rather. I'm going to say 4 and 3. So
Yeah.
I'm going to say that her flaws are that I made a terrible mistake in battle that cost many lives, and I would do anything to keep that mistake secret. Literally the first thing she does in the beginning of the game haunts her for the rest of it. And then 4, my hatred of my enemies is blind and unreasoning. It's literally what drives her to make that mistake.
Yeah.
So we have a bit of a complex character showing up here, even just on the character sheet, which is nice. It's what we like to see. So, yeah, I think we're pretty much done, dude.
Yeah. I mean, this went pretty fast. Honestly, Hey, this shit sucks. Do you have something you want to send in to make it better? Criticisms, topics you'd like to see discussed, or an advertisement you'd like to run? Maybe you even want to sponsor an episode.
If so, shoot us a message at mc460@evansville.edu or DM us on Instagram at Crescent Magazine. Or we'll never get better like these fucking guys. But there are a couple of things I wanted to talk about, just because we're not used to having episodes that run this short.
Yeah.
So what I did today...
We're long-winded motherfuckers.
We are. What I did today was I brought a character to the table, and I said, this is the character I want to make, and then built all of the mechanics and the stats and the roles around that fictional character. My advice for people that do that, because I'm not against it, like if Madison came to the table tomorrow and said, I want to scrap Daisy, and I would like to play, I don't know, fucking Starlight from The Boys instead.
Which similar character.
Which is a pretty similar character,
Very
actually,
similar
which is funny.
Because I wrote this character long before
Yeah.
I had
First you knew
interacted
The
with
Boys
the
was.
boys.
I would say that's totally cool. How are we going to be different at the table? Because, like, what I don't want as a DM is for somebody to play the character mechanically the same and then also just be that character point blank, period, because that's just not fun.
One of the, I actually went to, this is not a class that I'm in, but a class that was here that Elle, his fiance, was in, and I tagged along this morning because she told me it was, their whole week this week was, it's a, like, short story fiction class, and it was deemed fan fiction week, and they were talking all about fan fictions and, like, how that actually can, like,
last night, dude.
help. And it was like, it brought up some interesting conversations because, like, I mean, in like a lot of fan created works and like fan fiction, and I think this is like really similar to what we're talking about. If you come in with these concepts and these characters that are already made and already have a set canon that they follow, anytime you create anything, you notice that they start straying farther and farther from their like original thing until you can just change the name of the character and you will have no idea that it was
That it's
ever
a fully
originally
different character.
connected.
Yeah,
If you
100%.
take these two people and if you take fucking Luke, Leia, and Han, and you put them in a coffee shop, and then you're writing, and you're like in a completely different universe, in a completely different setting. They're gonna have to make different choices because of that. And by the end of like the fan fiction you're
Star
writing,
Wars nerd.
fuck off.
Not
But
to
by
shit on
the
Star
end of
Wars.
it,
I like Star Wars. I have the hardest time watching the original trilogy, which is most people's favorite. So
that's fair. It's my favorite.
I'm like once I've seen
It's
the
got to
newer.
get you young.
See, for me, it's like once I've seen the newer shiny thing, it's hard for me to go back and watch the
Yeah.
old thing because like just the clunkiness.
No, it's
fucking
real.
kills
Like
me.
I remember as a child thinking that the fight between like Kenobi and Darth Vader in A New Hope, I was like, oh my god, this is so sick. Watching it older, and I think it was like an honest trailer that was like two old geezers gently like poking at each other with glow sticks, and that's
Go
what it
back
is.
and watch it. Yeah,
Like it's rough.
it's very
but at the
slow.
same time, I was indoctrinated in. So,
yeah, shit like that gets you young.
but yeah, by the time you're done with a work or like a fan created thing, you can just change the name of the characters, and people will have no idea that it started as that. And there's like
100%.
so many published works out there that are fully that.
Yeah. So I guess there are a few things I have left to finish. So I have age, weight, height, hair, skin, eyes, etc.
Cosmetics.
My
favorite
for
part.
Abby, I'm gonna say between the 280 and 350 scale that they said Goliaths normally are, I'm gonna say like easily 330. I think she's a large person even by like male standards. Like she dwarfs a lot of the men in the game. So I
Make
think-
more big women
Yeah, make
in
more
your
big women.
games. Always. In life,
I'm gonna say she's probably pretty close to the age of the character Madison made yesterday. I'm going to say she's like 24, 25. She doesn't look any older than that. And she's basically the same age as Ellie, who I think is like
19, I thought.
Yeah, like 19, 20. So I'm going to, you know what? I'm going to put her at 23, actually, now that I'm thinking about that. I'm going to put her at 23. She definitely strikes me as a little more mature than Ellie, so I'm going to say she has more years. That also just could come from being in the military. Eyes. I'm going to say red, just because revenge is very much in her nature, and so maybe that's like the eye color thing changes over time. I think that could be a cool thing. Height, I'm going to say she's not particularly tall, so it said
Short
between,
queen.
7 to 8 feet, I think it said was average for Goliath, so I'm just going to say we're going to go with 8 feet. I mean, that's already taller than most creatures and
I
characters.
mean, so that is tall.
Yeah, well, because she has to be. She's a Goliath, you know what I'm
I
saying?
thought you were saying you didn't want her to be that tall, and you went max height.
That's not max height. I think max height for a Goliath is 9.
Okay, never mind
I
then.
think the lowest is 7. Like,
Oh my god.
what is happening?
That was messages from someone.
Jesus Christ. Anyways, skin. I don't know. Let me see. I'm gonna Google really quick what Goliaths look like. Because
I imagine like an ashen gray.
yeah, I think they're very like mountain folky with like head
neutrally.
tattoos kind of thing. Let me look them up. Yeah, that's exactly what they are.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have like these weird like head tattoos,
Like tribal tattoo
kinda
kind of
deal.
vibes.
Yeah, looks like it'd almost be like a genetic thing too.
I'll say, I wonder if they're tattoos or if they are like actual.
No, I think they're tattoos because I mean, nature doesn't make lines that straight. I mean,
It's
fantasy
Dungeons and
universe.
Dragons.
Anyways, I'm gonna say that they're tattoos. I'm gonna say that she's like an ashen gray, like Madison suggested earlier. I think that's super cool. And then just give her tattoos, and then maybe I would spend some time making her tattoos like specific to like a military regiment or an army that she left behind, or even an army that she's still currently in. Like that's kind of maybe what her tribalness is, or that's kind of what the tattoos in her body signify. And then I would take that one step further and say that those tattoos like maybe indicate how many kills she has, or that like signifies
prison shit.
signifies her role as an infantry, or even like a skilled infantry. Because in the game she's like, they note several times that Abby is like a cut above the rest. She's like special ops for them, so like whenever they need something done, they send Abby.
Abby is SEAL Team 6.
Basically, she's a one woman army. I mean, if you play the game, if you know anything about it, I mean, she's
a bad bitch.
She mows people down. So I'm gonna say that her tattoos maybe indicate that she's like some special forces, that kind of thing. And then hair, they're all fucking bald. So I'm just gonna say she's bald. Maybe give her like a ponytail or something, just because she has.
I
one
like
in the
her
game.
being bald. Make her
No,
bald.
hear me out. I'm thinking like a thin strip of hair though, with like nothing on the sides, and then just tied in a ponytail. Oh Jesus Christ! Sorry. Like if you've seen, how do I fucking describe this? Like where you have basically you're bald here, and then you just have long hair on the top, and then you just like do a top knot kind of thing.
Like an undercut?
Yeah,
or like the opposite of an undercut?
No, like an undercut.
Okay. I
Because
rock
she
with
has-
I rock with an undercut.
Yeah, you see what I'm saying?
I rock with an undercut.
Yeah. So I'm gonna give her an undercut with like a ponytail in the back because she has a ponytail like the whole game. So I don't know. I kind of want to keep that aspect in it. And then the hair, I'll probably just go with black. Like I don't want to be super generic, but I'm just black. It is what it is.
Like
So,
a gray
yeah.
black.
So now this is where I would start maybe trying to diverge because I'm not playing in a modern setting, so I can't say that like Last of Us events took place, and I'm gonna put myself in the Sword Coast here. I'm gonna say this is maybe where I would ask my DM like, hey, can we make like a war canonical? Like what kind of
am I
conflicts?
the pretend DM now?
Yeah,
Because
sure.
I'm not
Yeah,
making the
no,
character?
we'll give it to you. You need practice. She's eventually gonna try and DM herself, so
Yeah, I've got too many control issues to DM right now.
I'm gonna say we're on the Sword Coast. What kind of like wars? What kind of like battle regiments? What kind of armies?
Okay, let's say there's like
It's hard coming up with shit on the fly, dude.
listen, if you didn't attach it to Sword Coast, I could make shit up, but I don't want to like say anything and get the source books wrong.
Oh, well, just make shit up then. We're just not
Okay,
fantasy
then
universe
it's
of your
not the
choosing.
Sword Coast. Okay, so there is so this is a world and there's several different like factions in it. Some of them are bigger than the other. There's two really big ones that
Okay.
always seem to be kind of fighting with each other.
Yeah,
One is
yeah.
very more like for the people, and a little bit more of like a anarchistic is probably a bit much. Maybe a little bit more like communistic
Yeah.
society. This is also me knowing Last of Us and
Oh,
like
yeah.
pulling a little bit from that.
Yeah.
And I was going Jackson.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And then there's also
That makes total sense.
a world in because I'm just gonna go straight Last of Us. So that this communistic society is I would in real I would pull up fantasy name generator and
Right.
come up with a name, but I'm not gonna do that right now because I'm gonna stress myself out
So
because
then
I
there's a
can't talk
big
and
one.
type. So we're gonna have that one and the person who founded it, this is where I'm gonna divulge a little bit, was someone who like during the war.
Yeah.
Where these factions were created, committed horrible
Oh,
atrocities.
Jesus.
And like was really like a brutal
Yeah, like
leader.
a violent person. Yeah.
And then on the flip side, the other like primary faction is going to be one that's a little bit more military based. It's a little stricter. There's a class. There's like a clearer class
system.
structure and a class system where there isn't in the other. And there's still a bit of tension between those two factions specifically.
Yeah.
That always seems to like that's never really been resolved.
Right. So then, with that, I think where I would push then is I would want her to be obviously part of the military like faction. The leader of the other one sounds a hell of a lot like Joel.
That was the goal.
Yeah. Well, Joel didn't found Jackson. It's the only reason.
I know. I
That's
said
where
I
it
was going to
diverged.
divulge. I
No,
know.
I understand.
I
Understand. I get it.
This isn't for you. This is for people listening. I know my lore.
She does. She's seen me play the game. She's watched the show. Whatever. Anyways, I think this is where I would say that maybe like I would want
I think it would be interesting.
Eva's
To put,
father to have been like a general that like went to war against like this Jackson-esque other like one and like was very aware of all of the fucked up shit he was doing, but maybe they like whitewashed their history. And like now he's like turned a new leaf to the public, and so her mission is to like oust him as like the terrible fucked up person that did all these things to like the rest of the factions to be like, no, fuck them. Like, you guys are constantly saying we're wrong because we're military focused and, like, oh, we're bad for going against, like, the communists, like, share the food people. Nah, fuck you, bro. Like, your leader's like,
yeah, you're founded on blood.
yeah, you're founded on blood. Like, your leader committed, like, fucking war crimes.
Yeah.
And you're like, stop killing it. No, get fucked.
I think even, and this is where I don't know where the line is between DM and player, because my brain goes to, I think it would be really interesting if specifically Eba's father was killed after, like, a treaty had been called and a treaty had been placed and was killed, like, out of, like, basically breaking fantasy Geneva conventions of, like, the war is over and then still killed. And that is also, like, a driving force behind it.
I think that
I
could
would
be...
present that to a player and see if they're interested in that.
I would 100% take that, and I think I would even want it to be like an investigation thing. Like that's like a primary thing that like Eba has to figure out as a character. Like maybe it's
Like if you can get the details on it, then you can like.
well,
if you've
like
got
if you
grounds
can
to
prove
go
that
to
it
war.
happened, then like maybe there's like a right that you can challenge him to like a fight, or you can challenge him to like go to like martial combat, or you can just straight up like if maybe if this character is so driven by like hatred and revenge, maybe it's just like if you can find evidence that happened, you can say the treaty is absolutely fucking zilch and just
then you get to-
start the war again.
Yeah.
And I think for what I think Abby's character, what I would probably try to, or Eva's character, I think what I would try to do is like prove that it happened, and then try to like kind of 1v1 it, and then humiliate him in front of his people.
Yeah.
And like a really fucked up way too, like following true to Last of Us. Like I would get that 1v1, like even if I had to fake circumstances to be like, nah, like look, clearly this is what happened. Now you owe me the right to like martial combat, and then I would humiliate the piss out of him.
Yeah.
Like I would parade his body around and be like, look guys, there's your leader, like have fun.
I think that'd be really interesting. 'Cause
even to
I'm
say
also
that
like
it
sitting here
happened-
going and coming up with like a bunch of like fucking. I'm sitting here going like, oh, I've got so many ideas for like characters in this world.
But that I think is where I would take Eba.
Yeah.
And I would be curious to see if whether or not I would be playing Eba post, like after that, or during that. I would almost like to play her after. Like I would like to talk about all of that stuff and say that it's like canon for the universe, and that like now we pick up with Eba who's like on the run from basically like this kingdom who she humiliated. Like maybe it's like you have the right to martial combat, but you're not allowed to kill our leader. Like you can beat him and we can say that you've done that and he'll be punished for his crimes, but you're not allowed to kill him. And I think that's where I would say, well, maybe Eba says, fuck that.
Yeah.
Maybe Eba like has him on his knees and he's like, fuck you and your father. Like I'm still going to get away. Like I'm not going to die. Like, I'm going to rot in a prison, but you're not going to get to kill me. And Eba's like, no, fuck you. And kills you in front of like kills him in front of all of his people, and then like goes on the run.
Yeah. Then you have the daughter who picks up the mantle.
Yeah.
And then you get The Last of Us too.
Yeah, and then maybe like a really good then antagonist for Eva is a character that is now like that leader's daughter who's never understood all of the terrible things or was raised at a time where like she didn't understand just how bad he was.
And then also her motivations would be completely foil this because also Eva would have killed the leader out of treaty, like outside of the realms and the
and
rules.
that breaks
So
the
it
treaty,
would have been
and
the
that
same
starts
thing.
a war. And now it's like part of what's on Eva's conscience is like now she started a war again.
Yeah.
You know, and like she's not an inherently bad person at heart, so it's like now I have to watch all these people get murdered because like of my revenge, and then that's basically just Abby's arc through Last of Us.
Yeah.
And then that's where I would like to pick up because I think that'd be a lot of fun. I like playing like morally ambiguous, like difficult shit on the mind characters because I think it's just more interesting. Like I don't think there's a lot of people out there that are like trouble free, worry free, and so I like the idea of playing people that are a little more true to life and that like they have something a little fucked up about them.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's my itch for like that moral, ethical conversation.
Yeah.
It's just who I am as a person.
I'm well aware.
For better or for worse. I love talking morals, philosophy, all that kind of fun stuff. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, that's how I would take Eva, and then I think it would be hard not to role play her like Abby.
Especially we went from, okay, let's put her in a universe that's not The Last of Us to see how that would
And then
play.
we
And
made
I just
Fantasy
said,
The Last of
okay,
Us.
here's Fantasy Last of Us. But yeah, I mean, I think you can also still put this into a world where that's not a thing. Maybe you can change details of like, maybe it wasn't the father that was killed. Maybe it was her younger sister.
Right.
And that changes a lot of like, you know, then it becomes a place of like, this is not so much for honor, but it is for like, or like for principle, but it is you killed a child, like my sister. And then maybe there's miscommunication in like the way that the death happened. And maybe it's not even a specific person that killed them, but like an army.
Or even just going back to like the fanfic conversation, like what I was talking about last night when I was playing Last of Us 2, because I've played it several times. This is my third or fourth playthrough. I'm almost finished with it. But
Masochistic behavior, truly, to play that game more than once.
Yeah, well,
Crazy.
Difficulty junkie. I like playing things in the hardest difficulty and like getting better at it. But anyways, I love the story. I love the writing for 1 and 2. And when I was talking about like what I would do fan fiction for, like in that moment, I would have loved to have seen like a conversation between like Abby and Ellie from like Last of Us, right? Because that's what we're talking about. Because they never talk. Like it's only ever a conflict between the two, and like
They just fuck you. No, fuck you.
yeah, it's like, oh, you killed my dad. No, I'm gonna go after you, and it's like, no, you killed my dad. I'm gonna go after you, and then it's just like it's a game of murder tag.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's a fucked up tag.
Yeah, and so I would love to.
We fully just gave spoilers. We were trying to
Yeah,
not give
whatever.
spoilers earlier.
I would have loved to have seen like an actual conversation be forced between the two, like stuck in a situation where they have mutual interest for survival, and so it's like when we get out of this, I'm gonna kill you, but also I have no choice but to cooperate you. And I think in that moment they could have come to an understanding that maybe would have like changed the outcome of the rest of the game.
Yeah.
Because they're meant to be foils to one another, and they're meant to be reflections of each other to the better end. Like they don't complete both of their journeys or their circles, like Jesus Christ, their arcs until the very end of the game. And so I think maybe even in the game sense, like, or in this fantasy world that Eva exists in, maybe I would want, like, the Ellie equivalent to have been the one to get killed instead of, like, the Joel equivalent. And for it to be, like, an Abby versus Joel kind of deal, where it's, like, the old, like, war veteran who's done fucked up things but has finally found happiness in the form of this, like, surrogate daughter has now been taken away in, like, I don't know, Mortal Kombat or some stupid shit like that. And now it's like he's gonna like raise hell and like lobby the communists to like get steeped in blood and all that fun stuff.
Yeah.
And that's where I maybe would like change things and switch it up so that I'm not just straight up playing Abby. So
Yeah.
you know, like just switch the people around, switch the characters, switch the backstories.
Like fundamental stuff. Don't be afraid to like do that. I think it's really fun.
Yeah.
Flavor and like background and like all that shit. The cosmetics and like the building of the characters, like my favorite thing.
Well, honestly, I think we've talked extra enough that we can just make this its own episode. So I think you guys are just going to get a part 2 regularly. We're at an hour again. So
We lied.
thank you all for tuning in to another episode of Table Talk, where we walked you through very quickly the martial class. Again, if it was a little hard to follow, go back and watch the other one, part 1, which should already be up by the time you hear this, and that'll make a little more sense. But until then, see you guys next time.
Bye.